Hello everybody and welcome back to another AOR Season 16 highlights video here for round number 8, the French Grand Prix at Paul Ricard. And obviously this round is new on the calendar this year, first time I've ever raced at Paul Ricard, so I was kind of coming into this not really sure how I'd do, but I did do a pretty decent amount of practice. I had exams during the week of this race, but during the Saturday and the Sunday I had quite a bit of time to do quite a bit of practice, so I was feeling fairly confident coming into this, but once again my qualifying pace was letting me down. But into this race here, it's actually expected to rain, so right now in this qualifying session I'm actually running a wet setup pretty much, so it's not going to be ideal for this qualifying session, so I was just hoping to be as high as possible as I can on the grid to hopefully set up for a good result in the race if possible. But still, we're going to give it our all in this qualifying session, and so far the lap's been not so bad, but yeah, all throughout the practice time I never really had good enough qualifying pace compared to the top guys once again, so it's a little bit unfortunate, and it's even worse with the setup I have because it was very, very stable, and there was quite a bit of understeer for the dry conditions, but obviously that's what you got to put up with when it's going to be a wet race. So it is expected to dry at the end of the race though, so pretty much the 5th time this season it's been changeable conditions at the end of the race, changing from either wet to dry or dry to wet. So yeah, I hadn't actually done a lot of practice in the wet around here at all, but usually I'm pretty good in the wet, but I wasn't really sure how I'd do in the wet around here, so kind of coming into it a little bit blind, and I think I did only a few laps in the wet around this track. But across the line we go, and it's P7 with a 28.7, and that actually turned out to be P9 on the grid, 6/10 off pole once again, so not great, but you can see going into the race now, obviously starting P9, 5th row of the grid, not ideal, but we aim to go forward from here, and I was definitely aiming for a top 5 finish. That was the target, especially after the last few races being quite difficult with 2 8th places and a 6th place and a 5th place, which is still not so bad, but we want to start coming towards the podium now. But 5 red lights, and it's lights out and away we go here at Paul Ricard for the French Grand Prix, and we get a pretty decent launch there off the line, but you can see Flying Finn behind us got an absolutely incredible launch. He's going side by side with us towards turn number 1. He's up our inside, so we've already lost 1 position into turn number 1. You can see we're actually in P11 now, so we're just going through here pretty cautiously, and there's a collision in front there between RC Alonso and my teammate Dom there on the exit of turn number 2, so that's very unfortunate for Dom there. He got involved in that, and I think he got damaged from that as well. But we're going around the outside there of Alberto and Curly, and going side by side with Curly towards turn number 5, I think this is, not actually too sure, but going still side by side with Curly, and Curly edges in front now on the exit of that corner there. So we're in P8, so overall we've gained 1 position off the start, and I believe Curly came from P10 or somewhere like that, P12 or something on the grid, and already he's up to P7, so that's a great start from him. But we're having to go defensive from Alberto and J Thorne behind into this chicane, and in the wet conditions it's quite difficult to spot your lines around here, because obviously it's difficult enough in the dry sometimes. I think the first lap I did on this game around Paul Ricard at the chicane, I actually took the wrong turn, so that kind of shows how difficult it is. But so far the pace doesn't seem too bad, and I was feeling pretty comfortable, but already you can see how far the top 5 are in front of the rest of the field, so we've got to try and clear these guys as quickly as possible if you want to try and finish in the top 5. And well, our first target is Big C, our old mate from Monaco, if you remember to that, and we're going to try and get past him as quickly as possible. So ERS in overtake down the back straight, but I don't think we're going to be anywhere near close enough to make a move into the chicane this time round, so we're just going to settle for staying in P8 for the time being. Curly got through on him a couple of corners ago, so we got to try and follow Curly through as well, because Curly's usually pretty good in the wet, so if we can follow him through, then hopefully later on we can try and get a pretty decent result in this race, which would be, yeah, not so bad for the championship. But through here getting a fairly decent run, but you can see now into this long right hander. Big C goes a little bit wide there, and that's given us the opportunity to try and go through on the exit of this corner here. So going side by side towards this really difficult left-hander. I think this is the most difficult corner on the game there, but we make a little bit of contact again with Big C, and that was just purely racing incident. It wasn't really an incident, to be honest. It was just a little bit of contact there with Big C as I tried to go for the cutback, and yeah, we weren't able to get through. But here on lap 3 once again through this fast right-hander, and we've got a good run on Big C this time. Once again into the same long right-hander, we're going up the inside here, and this time it looks like we got the move just about done, so going side by side towards the exit, and we sort of force him a little bit wide there, and we get in front into the left-hander. He's trying to come back down our inside there, but we go through into P7 and we get the job done, and that little battle with Big C has enabled Curly and Clarky to get a little bit of a gap on us there. As you may have seen in the mirrors there, Big C actually went wide, and that's allowed Jaythorn through into P8 as well. Flores leads the race, I believe. Actually, no, he doesn't. He's second right now. I think Yano's in the lead from Flores, from Lucas, and then Deagle in P4. But those four are so far in front of the rest, so already it's looking unlikely that we're going to finish in the top 4. But in front of us, you can see Curly is going for a move on Clarky into this fast right-hander where we seem to have a lot of speed, and that's given us a great run on Curly into once again the same corner where we overtook Big C, and we've managed to get through, covering the inside line to prevent Curly from going for any kind of cutback there, and we hold on to P6. So next up, it seemed like our pace with Curly was pretty similar, so we're just going to stay behind him for now, and then hopefully try and find an opportunity later on in the race to try and make a move on him to get through into P5, and then we're going to have to wait and see how penalties play out later on in the race. But I think right now at this stage I was yet to get a single warning, so we're in a pretty good situation with that. And around here it's actually very easy to get time penalties, especially at turn 1 and 2 and the exit of turn 2 as well. It's incredibly easy to get a warning, so right now to have no warnings we're definitely in a really good situation. But you can see just how much more speed I can carry through that fast right-hander compared to Curly. But the virtual safety car has been deployed, so on lap 9 out of 27, looking at our tyre wear and considering the fact it's going to get dry later on in the race, but I don't think it's going to get dry soon enough to make these tyres last, so we're going to pit, which I think was the right thing to do to make use of the virtual safety car. And you can see the top 4 have done exactly the same thing as well. Curly's in the pits as well, and switching on to another set of the intermediate tyres. We don't get held in the pits, and in fact we've ended up closer to Curly than we were before the pit stops, so still staying behind Curly, but I think my pace was just slightly better than his, so we should be able to hopefully try and find a way through on him later on in the race. But you can see on the mini-map as well how far in front the top 4 are, and at this stage as well I was kind of considering how quickly it's going to dry up, because maybe the people who haven't pitted under the virtual safety car, they might be in a good position to make their tyres last until the crossover point, but I think they eventually got it wrong and they couldn't make the tyres last. So you can see Curly's teammate in front, Alex, he's most probably going to let Curly go, so we're going to have to try and clear Alex as quickly as possible, because I'm sure he wasn't going to let me go compared to obviously letting his teammate go. But we lose the rear slightly there on the exit. Curly's already 7 tenths in front, but he actually makes a little bit of a mistake there on the exit of the, well, on the entry pretty much onto this back straight. He makes a bit of a mistake, but Alex now goes over to the left to let his teammate go into the chicane, and we're going to try and find our way through as well. So going around the outside here of Alex into the chicane, we get the move done. So yeah, we haven't lost any time to Curly there, so that's definitely good news for us here on lap 10 out of 27. So if we can stick to the back of Curly, then hopefully we can find the right moment to try and make a move on him. But I think this area here of the track was where I gained the most time on him, and he is a pad user, so it's pretty impressive what he's doing to be this quick with a pad on this game. It's pretty impressive, and in the wet as well he's a very quick driver. So if we can find our way through, then we'll be in the top 5, and yeah, we'll have to wait and see how penalties play out. But out the exit of the chicane, Curly's still a little bit too far in front to maybe try a move, although we're going to have to wait and see how much time we can gain on him through this right-hander. You can just see we've gained an absolute heap of time there, and we go up the inside once again into what seems to be my favourite overtaking place around this track. And we go down the inside of the long right-hander to go through into P6, but Tim Palmer's yet to pit, so it's effectively P5, and yeah, we're in a pretty decent position for some good points for the championship. And all we got to do now for the remaining 15 laps of this race is to just keep our times consistent, keep the pace good, and yeah, we're going to have to wait and see how penalties will affect the order. But now moving on to lap 19, you can see it's pretty much time to switch over to dry tyres, and yeah, we're just saving a bit of VRS right now in this final sector, which is the best place to save VRS around this track. And yeah, we're still in P5. Curly's pretty close to the back of us, but we have a small pace advantage on him, so we're just able to stay in front. But DRS is now enabled, so now is the right time to come into the pits, and you can see the option to change strategy to go on the super soft tyres has come up there. So we're going to pit this lap, and yeah, we're going to have to wait and see how our pace is in the dry, considering we're running pretty much more of a wet setup than a dry setup. But it should be alright because the setup's pretty stable. It's just lacking that raw pace and that little bit more grip, but with a stable setup it enables you to push anyway, so we should be alright to stay in front of Curly. And already the top 4 have left the pits, but there's a little bit of a split now. Lucas and Jano had pulled away from Deagle and Flores behind, so those two were pretty much in a league of their own round here. Their pace was absolutely incredible, and Flores and Deagle as well, they were pretty quick as well. But I think Flores actually had 4 time penalties, which is absolutely insane. I'm not sure how you can keep getting that many time penalties, considering I didn't have a single warning, I don't think, and he had 4 lots of time penalties, which is, yeah, it's good for us, but I'm not really sure how you can do that. It's pretty poor from him. But you can see setting the fastest lap of the race, so our pace seems to be pretty good in the dry conditions right now, and I was pushing as hard as I could just in case there was any time penalties to affect the order. And as I said earlier, Flores has time penalties, so we're actually in a provisional P4 right now. And you can see now onto lap 27, Jano takes the win here at France. I believe he overtook Lucas in the final couple of laps to take the win, so that was a pretty good battle for them. But around the final corner now here at Paul Ricard, and we're still pushing as hard as we can, as I said, just in case of any time penalties. And we cross the line, and you'll see now we get P4 due to Flores' penalties. So yeah, pretty decent result for us here today at France, going from 9th to 4th, and I'll definitely take it. So thank you very much for watching, hope you enjoyed. Leave a like if you did, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I will see you for round number 9, which is Austria. Goodbye.